Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi, Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury beauty. Today we're going to be talking about the new lip balms from Chanel. These are the Rouge Coco Baumes. You see they've got white casing here along with a gold belt, gold emblem, and these have an 18-month shelf life. They're made in France. They're 0.11 ounces or 3 grams, and there are 7 shades. So I picked up all 7 shades. These retail for $42 US, and this is a permanent line, so expect to see more shades added in the future. So today we're going to take a look at all 7 shades. We're going to talk about the formula. We're also going to compare these to some other brands, such as the new Dior lip balms, as well as like Hermes and Givenchy and so forth. So we'll do a few comparisons with the formula. And first, let's just go over this product a little bit. So according to Chanel, the purpose of this is to smooth the appearance of lips. And I do have to say that it does seem to do that. It is hydrating and moisturizing when you put it on. You've got that like slip, and it does make my lips look more moisturized. So when I have dry patches and so forth, it really does diminish the appearance of those, instead of kind of, sometimes these colored lip balms can accentuate like a dry or peely spot because the pigment kind of gets stuck in that spot. This has not happened to me with these. There's also buildable color. So when we go through the lip swatches, you'll see that I show you what one sheer layer looks like before applying more product, so you can see how deeply it can build up. This shade here is My Rose, and this one is Built Up. And according to Chanel, these lip balms contain a deeply hydrating oil made from fruit and olive leaves that features restorative and antioxidant properties for better looking lips day after day. The finish transforms from sheer and shiny, like now, to opaque and subtly luminous as the formula's benefits are absorbed. And if you've watched my first video on the Chanel collection when I initially tried these balms, you'll see that's actually something that I noted. You put it on, it feels, kind of like, like you're putting on a fresh lip balm. You've got that moisturized feeling. And after like 5 to 10 minutes, everything seems to have soaked in. So your lips feel moisturized, but you don't really feel product on them as much, like maybe like a thinner layer or something like that, but it really does seem to soak in. So I've been wearing these for a few days now, and I have been testing these out. I've been doing a ton of lip swatches for these, for the La Comète lipsticks and so forth. So my lips have been a little rough. And I have to say that wearing these lip balms in between that has kind of helped rejuvenate them a little bit. Now, this is not some sort of miracle healing lip balm or anything like that. For heavy duty lip repair and so forth, you want to go with something different, but to enhance the moisture in your lips and just kind of keep them in good condition. And I have to say, I do think I've been using primarily the Dreamy Whites a lot throughout the day. And, I would have to say that it has helped improve my lip condition a little bit. Nothing significant at this point, but again, it's only been a few days. So this comment from Chanel about, wearing them day to day and improving your lips over time, I cannot speak to that at all. But I have to say, over the past few days, they have felt moisturizing. But it's more so that, like, typically when you have a lip balm and it feels moisturizing, you feel that product on there and it kind of remains on there, right? So your lips feel, moisturized because you have that there. This actually seems to sink in, and when it sinks in, your lips don't feel like dry and flaky. So they feel more moisturized, kind of like if you have a moisturizer on your face that has then sunken in. And that's what this formula reminds me of more so. So I would have to say, after they do sink in, you get a little bit more of a satin finish to it compared to more of a shiny finish upon first application. They never look matte. They always have a little bit of a sheen to them. There is not really glitter in most of these, but there are certain ones with glitter. For example, number 912 Dreamy White. You can see there are sparkles in here. So let's start off by swatching these. So Dreamy White is essentially a clear lip balm with some white sparkle in it. So I'm just kind of building up the second half of it, but you can see it's not completely clear, but essentially it is. So there's a little bit of whiteness to it, but it ends up kind of giving your lips like a filter. And you'll see that during the lip swatches, how that whiteness there just kind of like blurs some of the imperfections. And then after that, we have 914 Natural Charm. And this is a nude shade here. This one does not have any shimmer. You can see it's a nude brown. It's a little, it leans warmer, not super warm. That's one of the things that I like about this new collection. The Chanel Cocoa Blooms that came out last year, those were predominantly warmer shades, except for the really deep shades, which were cooler. And I feel like this range is more balanced. So 916, Flirty Coral. This is going to be a warm peachy coral. 918, My Rose. This is going to be a soft pink. This is a pretty neutral pink. And I would have to say it doesn't really lean warm or cool. And you can see with the one sheer layer, when I first put that on, it actually deepens up after a second. So if you didn't notice that, take a look with this one. This one's 920, My Love. So it goes on, looks pretty light, right? And it gets a little bit darker as it sits there. So My Love is really going to be more of a soft red. It's neutral, leaning a little cool. And we have 922 Passion Pink, which in the bullet looks kind of like a bright red, but on it's really more of, it's more of a really bright, deep pink, more fuchsia pink. And this is definitely cooler in tone. And then the last shade here is 924 Fall for Me. And I think this is an interesting shade because it's kind of like a berry and a brownie shade mixed together. So it's berry with brown undertones to it. So I would have to say that, you know, there's no like brown base per se, but the way that the shades are mixed, it's almost like you took like a bright berry, purpley berry shade and mixed it with some browner shades, and it just adds a little warmth to that. So this is not as cool as most traditional berry shades are, in my opinion. So I think we've got a pretty good mix of warmer and cooler tones here, but everything is pretty close to neutral on the spectrum for the most part. So as you're looking at my lips at all throughout this video, you can see it's starting to get a little bit more of a satin finish. I've had this on for just under 10 minutes at this point, but we're nearing the 10-minute mark. You can see that it is soaking in, and I really piled this color on, so I had kind of a thick product amount. So let's take a look at the lip swatches here. And as we're viewing these lip swatches of the Chanel Rouge Coco Baumes, after that, I will also have some comparison lip swatches of the different formulas that we're talking about from Dior, other ones from Chanel, and so forth. So you can see how those finishes look on the lips to get a general idea of what they look like. So as you're looking, let's talk about my thoughts as well as the differences between these different formulas. Now, for the Chanel Rouge Coco Baumes, they go on, they feel moisturizing when you put them on. They feel like a, they feel like a lip balm, but they feel like it's a thin lip balm, but not super waxy. It's creamier versus waxier. And there's definitely a little like oil in the formula, but they are not as oily as the Chanel Rouge Coco Flashes or the Coco Blooms. Both of those products feel much more oilier upon application than these do. So these are a little bit firmer than that. And there is a very subtle fragrance in here, but honestly, I can't really smell it. So if you look at the ingredients, perfume or fragrance is definitely listed on here, but it's a very subtle fragrance. So it's not something noticeable in my opinion. Now, as we are looking at these, as we've mentioned a couple times already, these do tend to sink into the lips. So the finish goes from this more shiny finish to more of a more dull satin version. as they wear down. Wear time on these, I would give it about 3 hours or so. And one of the great things about this is because it does feel kind of moisturizing as it sinks in, you know, maybe like the first day or so, if your lips aren't in great condition, you're going to feel the need to reapply more frequently. But I have already found that as it wears off, I kind of forget to reapply. It's only been a few days. I wouldn't say these are like ultra hydrating or anything, but I do think that they have improved the condition of my lips when using these. So I am really impressed with the formula. And I have to say that these are one of my favorite formulas from Chanel. So in comparison, the Rouge Coco Flash, which essentially is sort of like a pigmented lip balm in its own right, but those have a much oilier texture, and those are, as my lips are aging and, you know, things tend to feather and bleed more, that's something that definitely happens with those. With these new Rouge Coco Balms, that could happen. I haven't experienced that yet, but you know, it's not something that's going to happen as easily, I would say. They're also not as pigmented. The Rouge Coco Flashes are definitely more strongly pigmented than the new Rouge Coco Balms. And I do feel like the fragrance is a little bit stronger in the other Chanel lip products compared to the new Rouge Coco Balms. Now, as for the Chanel Rouge Coco Blooms, those are a new product that came out last year. And the whole idea for those is to really, you know, it's supposed to be super pigmented and it looks super shiny, but it kind of dries down and the pigment remains on your lips. So I wouldn't say that they're completely mask proof, but they're more mask appropriate type of product once it kind of sets down. Now with the Rouge Coco Blooms, you have to apply it. You kind of have to let it dry to set down before you are more transfer resistant. These are more pigmented. They feel oilier going on, but they do set down fairly quickly. So I don't have as many issues with you know, feathering or bleeding as I do with the Rouge Coco Flashes, even though they have a more similar texture upon application. These Rouge Coco Blooms are definitely more pigmented, but I don't find them to be hydrating to my lips at all. So that's one of the differences with the new Rouge Coco Balms as well. And a few others that I have for comparison, we have the new Rouge Dior lip balms, and they now have colored lip balms as well. The one that I used here is 586 Dior Bloom, which is a satin balm. And Dior has satin balms. They also have matte finishes. So I didn't compare the matte finishes because obviously all of these Chanel ones have more of a satin finish. And if you take a look at the way the Dior lip balm looks on the lips compared to the Chanel, the Dior has a bit more of a shine to it than the Chanel. And again, the Chanel will fade and become a little bit more of a filtered satin look compared to the Dior, which remains more shiny. They're both very comfortable on the lips. I really like both formulas. I would have to say that they feel a little similar in some ways, but the Dior is a little bit waxier, whereas the Chanel's a little bit creamier. So it's a soft wax. It goes on easily. You don't have to like apply a lot of pressure to get the pigment or anything, but you know, texturally, it just feels slightly waxier on the lips. And I think they're both fantastic products, and I honestly haven't decided which one I prefer at this time yet. And then moving on, we also have the Givenchy Rose Perfecto lip balms. These are a gorgeous marbled lip balm, and I would have to say that these are thicker than the other lip balms that we've tried here. So they're not that oily. They are kind of like a lighter lipstick essentially. So they're thicker in formulation on the lips. These also have mint in them. So there's a rose fragrance, but there's also mint. So after it sits on your lips, you'll feel some tingling, and it's supposed to induce plumping of the lips like mint products typically do. So just something to know that that one does have mint, whereas none of these other ones here that we're talking about today have that feature. So I think they're very nice. They feel very moisturizing. They also have shades that get to a higher pigmentation level than the Chanel. They also have shades that are very soft and light, like some of the Chanel. So it's hard to say which one is technically more pigmented, because I would say that the actual shades that Chanel has, all of those shades can get to a deeper pigmentation level than the lighter Givenchy, but Givenchy has shades that get much more pigmented than the Chanel as well. It's more like a lighter lipstick instead. And then we also have the Hermes, Rouge Hermes Poppy Lip Shine. This only comes in one shade. It does have sparkle. And again, this is a really, I'd say it's more of a creamy light lipstick mixed with a balm. So this has a thicker texture if you pile it on, a little bit lighter than the Givenchy, but it's not quite as oily as something like the Rouge Coco Flashes from Chanel. So I'd say it's kind of in the middle, but it's more of a medium texture versus a light texture on the lips. It is one of my favorite products. It has an orange scent to it. And then we also have from Hermes the lip enhancers. So these are actually a pH product. So they will kind of change color a little bit on your lips, but they're not designed to always turn pink like some of the pH induced products. These will deepen over time. And the shade that I tried on here is 30 Rose d'Été. And this actually has more of a matte finish. So you can see that, putting this on, it feels very light, almost a little hint of a powder in there, and it gives you more of that filtered, blurred look. And I feel like the finish on this, it's a little bit more matte than what the Rouge Coco Baumes look like once they have soaked in. So the Hermes looks a little bit more matte, a little bit more filtered and blurred, but it's kind of similar to the soaked in version of the Chanel Rouge Coco Baumes. And I would have to say that the Hermes lip products, the lip enhancers, I don't find them to be moisturizing. I find them comfortable and I like wearing them, but I don't find additional moisturization after it has soaked in or worn off or, repeated use or anything like that. So those are kind of my thoughts on all of these lip balms. All right, so I hope all of these swatches and comparisons were helpful. Let me give some arm swatches to the shades that we tried on. We've got the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash in 162 Sunbeam. And you can see, just putting that on, how shiny that is in comparison. And you can see what this has kind of looked like as they've dried down. So let me show you real quickly. This is 924 Fall for me. So you can see the difference between the shininess when you put it on versus once it has soaked in. And this definitely looks a little bit more satin versus shiny. Now we also have the Chanel Rouge Coco Bloom in 122 Zenith. And it's a very pigmented, shiny product as well. Now this one will dry down and set, and the shine remains for a little bit, but that does kind of wear off, but the pigment really remains. We also have from Dior, the Dior Lip Balm in 586 Dior Bloom. And this is a satin balm. So you can see these start off very sheer. They start off more sheer than the Chanel. And you can build them up, but you're not going to be able to build them up to the same pigment level of the Chanel. This is the Givenchy Rose Perfecto Lip Balm in 303. So again, some shades are more pigmented than others, but you can see that this one here has a comparable pigmentation level to the Chanel, but it's a little bit balmier looking. Like there's a little bit more of that translucent balm involved in there. We also have the Hermes Poppy Lip Shine here. And again, this only comes in the shade Poppy, which is going to be a light orange with sparkle. And this finish stays the same throughout wear until it wears off. And this is the Hermes, I'm going to put this here because I'm running out of space. This is the Lip Enhancer in Rose d'Été. And you can see that it starts off very light, but as my arm sits here, you can see the color is starting to pop up. So it will get a little bit deeper as time goes on. So those are all of the lip balms I have for comparison. If you have any additional comparison requests, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help with that. So final thoughts, I think these lip balms are a win. I think they are a great product for spring and summer, and they go very nice with a minimal makeup look. For today, I have on the Chanel Balm Essentiel in Ensoleil, which is on my eyes as well as on my cheeks underneath my foundation. I also have on one of the new lip and cheek balms from the #1 line. This is for Wake Up Pink, and I have it on under the foundation from the #1 line in shade BD01. In addition, I am wearing one of the Stylo Yeux from Chanel in shade 46 Vert Emeraude, and the Rare Beauty mascara. So that's everything that I have on my face today. And I hope this was helpful. So please let me know what you think of these lip balms. If there's something that you're interested in, I have to say I'm really enjoying this formula, and I really like them. So they're definitely something that I'm going to be wearing more. And you know, I like the Rouge Coco Flashes. They can be a little bit oily, but I've always really liked kind of that like lighter color and texture. These I think are better. So I like these a lot better than the Rouge Coco Flashes, and honestly better than the Blooms as well. But I think the Blooms have a different purpose. But just texturally on the lips, I'm really enjoying these. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day and stay safe and healthy.